G'day mates, I'm Umarak the Creature Hunter, and today we're on the lookout for elemental creatures. Why, you may ask? Well, certainly not for preservation, that's for sure. No, I'm hunting these creatures so I can strap them to my backs and hallucinate. It's gonna be a good time.
Hello everyone and welcome to the recent review. Today we're going to be taking a look at set number 71310, Umarak the Hunter. The set contains approximately 172 pieces, was released in the winter of 2016, and during time of release was about $20. Now, before we get into the review, let me get the disclaimer out of the way. Just because there are pros and cons in this video does not necessarily mean they are my personal opinion. I do my best to keep these videos as objective as possible, and as such, any comments made during this video are taken from either the community or objective facts that I can represent on camera here. So please, unless I explicitly say so, do not assume that any of these comments are my personal opinion. Alright, let's get into the review. And we're gonna kick it off with Umarak, because he's the only figure in this set. Now, Umarak is really interesting because he kind of breaks off the mold that most of the Bionicle characters, the villains, have, or at least for G2, and that he is not necessarily black and transparent orange or red. He's black and transparent green, and for a main villain to have that color, it's quite substantial. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. As far as recolored pieces are concerned, I'm not really sure about these feet claw things. I'm confident that they're not new. I actually think we got them in Hero Factory. These bone pieces, I'm confident, are in fact new recolors, however the torso piece is not. Now regarding these giant bow pieces, the bony-ish pieces, I do actually think that these are new in dark tan. However, I'm not as confident about these smaller versions up upon his head. So, don't quote me on that. They may be, they may not be. Didn't do the research. You can string me up in the comments. Now, as far as new pieces are concerned, we have most of the standard wave pieces, most notably the torso components, which are the pelvic piece, which is in gunmetal, the torso beam, which is in black, the piece of unification on his back, which is actually also in gunmetal, as well as the shadow trap pieces, which at the moment comprise his shoulder pieces. We also have the new eye stalk, and this time, what's this? It's not blue! That's right, everyone, the new eye stalk is actually in orange. The eye piping, however, is generally the same. As far as masks are concerned, he comes with two of them. First, his own personal mask, the Hunter mask, which is basically our new Mask of Shadows. And, more importantly, the Mask of Control. Now, we've gotten the Mask of Creation previously, and we're going to get it again momentarily, as well as the Mask of Control momentarily again. However, this is the basic base design for this mask, and it does differ quite substantially from the animations. It's not as in much of an M shape as it was online, and instead is more curved, kind of more elephant-y, if you will. We do, however, see the intricate lettering that is on the mask, similar to the Mask Creation, and they're certainly similar in the aspect that they look archaic. They look like they were made by the same person during the same time frame. They're quite ancient looking and don't look as new and refined or as downright intricate as Umarak's mask as some of the others. So it's kind of interesting. Some people don't like this mask because it has a lot of open spaces and it also has these weird tusks and it's kind of small or what have you, but a lot of people seem to be receptive to it and enjoy it enough to get the set for it. As far as Umarak's mask is concerned, it's very intricate, looks almost kind of like tree bark, and it's black melded with the apple green, and it does look quite menacing, especially on the set. Now, as far as the set is concerned, let's go over functionalities. He has two primary functions, which is not really a surprise, most of these sets do. The first one being his waist. Now, the new gear function, you turn the gear on the back, and it'll turn his upper body. And one thing many people have noted is that while doing this, it will make an audible squeaking sound. Now, there are two ways to deal with this. Either one, you can unconnect them, tear them apart, and put them back together again, or before you put them together for the first time, go ahead and swab, just kind of wipe down the pelvic piece, and then put them together. In both instances, the sound will either decrease or go away. However, additionally in both instances, you will find that the friction is much less, so discretion is greatly advised. Now the function does work fine, and the only other function of note would be the eye-popping feature, the mask flies off, and finally the blaster. Now this is your typical bow that you've come to expect from Bionicle. We've seen it in Skull Warrior, we've seen it with Vizuna, and we've seen it with all kinds of other creatures. So you basically just turn the axle and it will fire the bow. Now something that's interesting is that on his hip, he's got an additional weapon. He has a sword, and it's basically just a skull creature sword. However, also attached is on this little chain is kind of like this quick reloader. You can see it has 6 additional shots. That's really interesting because it keeps all the loose pieces, or at least most of them, connected to the set. It's really nice and convenient. Another feature for this set would actually be an additional skull spider. In order to create that, go ahead, take the 2 components off of his shoulders, go ahead and take the chain out, and additionally with this set, you'll have this component here. Go ahead and put the 2 together, plug that in, plug the chain back in, and take off the claws on his feet. Go ahead and just pop those off, pop them back on, and there you have it, a skull spider. Now, this doesn't actually have any story significance, this doesn't actually ever happen. However, it's kind of interesting and it gives you an additional skull spider. Am I saying skull spider? A shadow trap, an additional shadow trap. And it works nice, looks okay, fairly standard, nothing out of this world. Go ahead and undo that, and you can put him back to his usual standing. Another thing to mention is that he does have printing on his chest. Kind of looks like a skull. It's kind of interesting, like a face almost. No real idea what it's for. Some people like it, and some people don't. Finally, as far as his build is concerned, it's kind of half and half. See, some people like it. The arms are nothing out of the ordinary. They're fairly standard, non-controversial. However, his legs, they're kind of interesting. You see, while his arms have the standard points of articulation, his legs kind of do and kind of don't. The upper portion have the standard, 1 knee and 1 hip. However, his lower portion of the legs, those are custom. So you have the 2 claws on his feet, and additionally you have his 2 ankle articulation points, and then 2 right above the ankle. Now this does kind of restrict mobility to a degree. It works for what it needs to do. It gives him that kind of triple jointed look. However, it definitely in some instances restricts his posing, and some people do not like that. Additionally, we have these blue pins here that do stick out. Because of this build, we also have a lot of additional gaps and a lack of armoring in that area. So some people do not appreciate that whatsoever. Going up a bit as far as his build is concerned, it's kind of unusual because his shoulders are flush, like with the shoulder compartment. If that makes any sense. If they moved the connection point for his arms up 1, then it would actually be more flush with his shoulder pieces, and it wouldn't have so much of a gap if you looked at him from behind. There wouldn't be that empty space. However, they decided not to do that, instead make it flush with the compartment below. It's kind of unusual, not a lot of people like that at all. He also looks really thin and unintimidating with these shadow trap components off of him. Finally, we have his overall look. Now, it's fairly clear that LEGO wanted this kind of hunter look to him. And if you want to go by hunter standards, well, you got the antlers, and you got kind of like a deer look. And, hunters stereotypically are known for catching deer. And that look is definitely pulled off really well. He's also got the chains, he's got the extra weapon, he's got the bow. So he definitely pulls that off quite well. A lot of people really do enjoy that. Finally, some slight things, the blue pins, some red axles if you look at him from behind. Those things, some people may not like that, some just may ignore it, some may deny that they're an issue whatsoever. I don't know which person you specifically are, but those people are out there. Finally, let's get on to unification. Real quick, that's how the mask creation looks on him. Back to normal, let's get into unification. He is capable of unifying with each and every single one of the creatures, I'll go ahead and show you all these right now and give you a little bit of an insight as to why this would or would not work. First of all, Tarak. Tarak, some people believe works because he's mostly a black set, and the purple does not necessarily clash with any of the colors here, and they like the kind of exotic appearance it gives him. Melum, he's very bright, he's very white. Not a lot of people like putting Melum on Umarak because he kind of contrasts and does not really work with the set. Akita, kind of a similar thing. While Akita mostly works because it's blue, it's also a very bright set, and the guns do kind of get in the way of the shoulders and vice versa, so there's not a whole lot that you can really garner from this. Akur also kind of doesn't work. He's very bright, he's very red, and while Umarak does have the dark red on him, he doesn't have a lot of the brighter stuff. So some people like him because it kind of gives him this nice contrasting look, however others do not. Kitar actually for the most part works. You see, Umarak still does have a lot of brown components to him, kind of accenty, and Kitar does have that. Kitar also has a shade of green, which will kind of work with the darker shade of green here. So Kitar isn't necessarily the worst to be put on him. Finally, we have Uxar, and Uxar is generally regarded to be the best creature for this set. The colors work, they're pretty much the same hues. Uxar is a little bit of a brighter shade considering all the grays and the silvers. However, for the most part, he is the best that works on Umarak, especially with the giant green wings. Those work really nicely with this set. So overall, that has been Umarak. It's kind of an interesting set. He's very unique. He looks quite unique and inspired. And he also has the blaster, it's a cool functionality, a decent color scheme, which is different from what we're used to. He works with a lot of the creatures. He can unify with all of them, so whatever you feel like unifying him with, go for it, all yours. Got a unique leg design, however, a lot of people seem to find it to be gappy, or they don't like the blue pins being so predominant on those legs, and they do kind of restrict mobility. Additionally, we have the mask control that comes with this, and it looks really nice. A lot of people like it that we have it in set form to go along with their Mask of Creation. However, on the flip side, while we do have the Shadow Trap that you can make, because we have to have a Shadow Trap functionality in the set, we do end up with loose pieces. You see, these components right here, these 4 pieces, they're essential for the Shadow Trap. They do not stick to any surface of the set. Of course, granted, you can make it happen. You can put these pieces on this set, I'm sure, somehow. If you want, you can kind of put this one right back there, or you can go ahead and put this in one of the open pinholes. However, if you want it to look natural, you want it to be non-intrusive, you just keep it off the set and you keep it floating around. Not a lot of people are going to like that. As far as our TTV personal recommendation is concerned, we recommend you buy this set. He's a unique villain. He's fairly standard in the arms, however, he has a decently creative build. He looks quite menacing, and you additionally get the Mask of Control. And if you have the Mask Creation, it's really nice to have those together and see kind of the dichotomy between them. So we do recommend him. It's $20, but we feel that you will enjoy him, especially going up against your favorite Toa. So that has been Umarak. What do you guys think? Do you like Umarak? Do you dislike him? Feel free to let me know either in the comments below or on the TTV message boards at board.ttvpodcast.com. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.